Most teachers are just one skill away from building a six-figure online tutoring business. So what is that skill? Well, it's sales. Being able to sell online group tutoring programs at premium rates to students online. And so in this video, I'll take you behind the scenes and show you a live in-person keynote that I delivered for my private clients, walking them through the exact sales process to sell group tutoring programs at premium rates, higher rates that parents and students would normally pay for one-on-one lessons. Because the truth is this, most teachers, no matter how good they are, even if they've scaled a tutoring business already, they never include this component in their sales process, and it's leaving a ton of money on the table. So if you're a teacher just getting started, or you're an online tutor looking to scale, this video is going to be a game changer for you. So let's jump in and I'll show you this live in-person keynote that I delivered for my private clients. Cheers, thanks. I'm going to try and use this lav mic. So if there's any issues, I'll revert to the microphone over there. I think it's a little bit echoey, but hopefully we'll be all good. You guys can hear at the back, Matt? Is it okay? Yeah, okay, sweet. Just so I got the clicker. I don't want to be juggling two things. So we'll try and go with the lav. So I'm going to kick straight off. Now, what I'm going to be presenting to you guys about is how to close the sale. Okay, so I'm going to take you back to September 2020. Right, and I was booking about 20 calls a week on my calendar every single week. From the calls that showed up over the month, I'd generally close about 4 sales, right? And so this was pretty tough times. I've spoken to some of you about it, and that was about a 9 to 11% call to close rate, like something like that. Okay, so I put this on the screen because it kind of felt like I was just burning money. You know, it was another, let me think about it, or I'll get back to you, or I can't afford it objection. And I just didn't know how to handle it. Was it even the real objection, right? And so I knew if I needed to take the business to the next level, I had to get better at sales, right? And so I didn't know if it was the leads in the beginning or was it just the sales skills. But luckily, unlike some of you guys, and you need to start doing this, I was tracking everything, right? So I'm going to show you my tracker. It looks super old-fashioned compared to the trackers that we use now. It's a bit small, but I'll break down some of the numbers. So I used to track on a weekly basis. But the thing I want to show you is at the bottom, 0%. This is the call to close. 0%, 0, 0, 0, 0. There's a lot of zeros on there, right? And if we look at this section just here, 37 calls on the bounce, 0 closes, right? So just imagine the calls that you guys take, and you take 37, none of them close. Okay, so it's pretty tough. Wind on forwards there. I think that is, where's my cursor gone? This was 10th of October. Wind it forwards to the 4th of December, took 67 calls, just 4 closes from the 67. Now that's the point when things start to change. And so I knew I needed to, get better at sales. And at that time, I'd just dropped 18 grand in the September, so right at the start here, on a coaching program. Right? So I didn't really have much, left, to invest and get more help. But I knew that it was sales. If I didn't get better at sales, the house was kind of burning down. Right, so I hired a coach, and what happened then was, I put myself on this kind of super strict diet. So imagine going on a diet, you need to lose a lot of weight, or you want to build a lot of muscle. And so I thought, I'm just going to have to stick to this. And I stuck myself on it for about 90 days. Here was the notes actually that I dug out, and I dug these out the other week. And so I've still got them. I keep them as a little bit of a momentum because they really do mean a lot. And so the plan I put myself on was like 30 minutes of training. So that might have been listening to the coach that I'd hired, right? It might have been reviewing some of my calls, and then just mirror talk and role play and practicing the notes and the scripts that I was writing down. So this is kind of what I stuck myself onto. And like I said, it was just like a super strict diet. I had no other option but to get better because the stats as we saw showed. Now, things started to change. So some of you guys might know Eli Wild. Like that's who, I hired to help myself get better at sales. And so this was 6th of April, 2021. And so about 6 months-ish, 7 months after when I kind of left off on those on the tracker. And he checked in with me and said, boom, how are you, brother? I said, good. Literally getting started in the accelerator back in early December, changed everything, okay? Wind the clocks forward. Business did 7 figures, 11 figures, I wish. 7 figures in the 11 months after I joined the accelerator program. Wind to the bottom, it was learning and studying everything from you that had the biggest impact. So I wanted to say thanks. And so things did start to change pretty fast. Because if you look at the tracker, and we're following on here week 18 from the 5th of December, 50% call to close. There's not many zeros on here anymore. There are a few, but if we look 50, 40, 42, 25, 28, 57, 75, 50, 75. So of course things started to get better. And here's the thing. I didn't change my ad. I didn't have a new ad. I didn't have a new follow-up process. I didn't have a new homework video. I was doing everything else the same. Just got better at one thing, sales, which is why we've really wanted to deliver this event around sales, because that one skill can unlock everything for you guys. And so what I'm going to do in the next 30 minutes, I want to talk to you about how to close the deal, or ring the bell, as some call it. Okay, and the reason why I want to do this is so you can improve your sales skills, enroll and impact more students, and of course, scale your business. Who wants to scale their business? Hands up. Boom. So I'm going to reinforce, the first part I want to share with you, I'm going to reinforce something that a lot of you guys probably already know, but it's something that you don't follow. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I use it so that you can take this away and you can start following it. Okay, so the first thing is the number one reason you're not closing calls, and how to fix it with just a simple to follow checklist. And this is still the same checklist I use to this day. I was on some calls the other week, used the exact same checklist, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So most tutors, and not just tutors, but like me back in the day when, that I was getting a ton of zeros, we're losing the sale before we even pitch. So one of the things I learned from Eli was, when you're taking a call, you need to imagine that your prospect is stood in a circular room. Right now, around that room are 10 doors. Dalton mentioned it yesterday. She touched on it a little bit. There's 10 doors. Now, if you don't close all of these doors, and there's one left open or two left open, your prospect is going to run away at the end of the call. So your job is to shut all of them so you can close the sale. Okay, so if we think about where that happens, and so where most sales are won and lost, it's not about closing, it's about how you open. All right, so I'm going to show you how to open your calls better, improve your discovery, which is the opening so you can close more deals. And so if we think about our discovery phase, the key to make it not feel too complicated is just to think of a map, right? Point A and point B. And so if you were to get a piece of paper, turn it landscape, and draw A at the bottom, B in the top right, so A in the bottom left, and then just draw a line. The next thing you need to do, I've got this traffic cone, because if your prospect feels that point A and point B is too close together, they are not going to hire you. Okay, just like if I wanted to go down the street, go to a restaurant, I looked where it was on my phone, I'd put point A where I am at now, point B, and if it looks like it's in walking distance, I'm not going to take the Uber. I'm going to walk, right? So you need your clients to take the Uber, And so here's how you're going to form the checklist. And what I'll do is I'll break down each one. I'm going to drop these slides, in the chat right afterwards. I've got the link ready to drop. Okay, so you'll get the slides right after, so don't worry. You don't need to take some pictures. If you want to, fine, but I will drop the slides straight away right afterwards. Okay, and so the discovery checklist is really just these are the 10 doors, right? So I'm just going to touch on them, and then I'll give you the script on how you go through each of these when I drop the slides, okay? So discovery, first thing is problems. So this is point A. We need to know, what does the student want help with and why? Goal, where do they want to go and why? The next thing is the first part of the traffic cone. What's preventing them from getting there? What have they tried to do? Why hasn't it worked? What else? Have they hired other tutors? The one in red, Dalton mentioned she doesn't go for cost of inaction, but then at the end of her presentation, she spoke about all of the things that could happen and the issues that are going. She spoke even about suicide for some students, right? And so if you don't expose a cost of action in your calls with the student or the parent, and that it's not more expensive and more costly to stay where they are now, okay, versus the investment for your program, they're not going to invest. Okay, so we need to make sure that we nail this one. I've got some great questions in the template that I'm going to give to you guys, but this is the big one. If you don't get cost of inaction, so what happens if you stay here? What happens if you don't go to the school of your dreams? What happens if they do stay behind in their reading? What does it lead to? What does it impact to? And a big one, I was speaking to a few of you guys yesterday. If you think about how the world's evolving at the moment, then probably in a few years, there's less jobs for humans. We saw Ollie use AI and how amazing it is. So wind the clocks forward, how many jobs are actually going to be human, occupied? And so it's never been more important to gain better academic skills, right? Because the human jobs that are available is going to require the best possible candidates. So you want to be bringing this up in your course, right? You want to be showing the parents, showing the students that if they don't gain better skills, whether it's in math, like SATs, whether it's in English, whatever it is, it could impact the rest of their life. They might be jobless. And so I'd be bringing this up as a cost of inaction, of not getting better and not boosting their grades, whatever it is you teach right now. And so next thing is buying pocket. This is really just delay even believe that they can do it or not. Because imagine if you've got a parent on the call with you and they don't think that their child is actually going to invest themselves into your lessons. They're not going to be motivated. They don't believe that their kid can do it. So this is part of the buying pocket, is making sure the parent actually believes that their child or teen is capable in the first place of getting the results that you want to help them deliver. Next one's decision maker. So is the decision maker on the call? Is the partner there, mum, dad, or whoever it is? Timing. Do they even have the bandwidth to make this a priority right now? Are we working out? Have they even got time in their schedule to attend tutoring lessons? And so if you think about this one as one of the doors, if you don't find that information out and you go and tell them, hey, my lessons are on this date, this date, this date, then they're going to run out. They're going to run out the door and they're going to say, we can't attend the lessons, and you lose the close. So how might you get around this? When you're asking that, what their current schedule's like, when could they potentially attend tutoring, you can be asking things like, what if you found something that you thought was really going to help little Johnny get the results that he wanted? Would you be able to move things around and make it a priority like some of my top students do? So we want to be asking questions like that so that when you do land, when your lessons are, they don't just say to you, no, we can't attend, so we can't do it. Okay? Because they might not be able to do it based on their schedule, but can you get them into a state where they see this as the number one priority, so they are willing, because they might not be able to right now, but they are willing to make it a priority and move everything else so that they can move forwards. Now, next thing is trust. Do they even trust you? So what have they seen before the call? What have you shared with them? How much rapport have you built throughout the call? So I skipped finances. So they need either the ability or the willingness to be able to invest. Just because someone doesn't have the ability doesn't mean they don't have the willingness. Who told me the thing about the Ferrari the other day? Mark, was that you? Yeah, and you guys have probably heard the Lamborghini story as well, right? If someone plonked a Lamborghini outside right now and they said, hey, Lamborghini's $5,000, do you want it? And you looked in your bank account and you only had 500, you would do everything that you could to go and find the money because you know the value of the Lamborghini, right? So we've got to get the parents into a state or the students into a state where they are willing to go and find the investment to move forwards. Last one is coachability and teachability. Again, Dalton touched on it. Don't take students on that you don't want to teach, right? So one of the things that you want to be assessing in your discoveries, do you even want to teach this student? What's the parent like? Are they going to be a nightmare to work with? Or do you feel that they would be a good fit? So this is something that you're assessing. And so there's the checklist, and you need to close all of these 10 doors. So what I do, and I'm going to walk you through some steps you can take to improve your discovery. And so this is where's the red thing? There we go. So this is what I generally do. I write down all of these doors down my notepad. It's pretty scruffy, but it works for me. So whatever works for you, I write all the doors down. And as I'm going through, you can see I've got some check marks, right? So I'm ticking them off as I go to know that I've closed that door. And the reason why I do this is if I feel I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to go to the next step in the call, so to present my offer, and I see that I've got some doors that haven't been ticked, I am not going into the offer blind. I'm going to circle back and say, actually, Mrs. Smith, there was one thing that I wanted to ask you, and then go into the door and just loop back around, okay, and close it, okay? And so it might even be that something came up in the discussion that was a flag that you thought you'd closed the door, and now you know you need to loop back at some point and reclose it, okay? And so what I will then do, down the side on the left, you'll also see the thing that says ammo. So I use this as ammunition. So anything that I hear as I'm closing the doors and asking the questions to close the doors, I'm writing their words down as ammo, so that when I get to the offer part of the call, I can use their words. Because if it's their words, it's true. If it's your words, it's not theirs. Like, they're not going to be bought in. They're not going to believe it. And so I use this ammo. So anything you hear could be frustrations, key pains, what they've tried or what they wanted. What type of support did they even want? Write this down. So when you do get to the offer, you know how you told me earlier in the call that what you were really wanting was more accountability, more support for Johnny? Well, actually what we do when I work with the students, we do this. And so you remind them, and this is why you create ammo there. So here's some key steps you can use to improve your discovery. One, I'm going to give you these slides. You've got the script on the questions to ask if you haven't seen this. Again, it might just be a refresher for some of you guys, but if you're not already using this is what I want you to take away from this section, okay? And so you'll just be able to click once you've got the slides and it will load up all the questions you can ask for each door, okay? So, and then the second thing, this is how I did the training I touched on. If you're finding that you're rushing your calls, rushing your discoveries, and you're not closing doors, train. Put yourself on a diet. Practice it. Have 30 minutes of listening to previous calls that you've done. How well did you close all of the doors? And start listening to that and check it off and practice. You might then even just review your script. You might even just do some mirror role play. So some of the things that I used to do is just walk around and practice saying some of these questions and then trying to dive deeper. Okay, and then at the very least, just buy a notepad like this. Okay, this is an Amazon basic notepad. I think, Kelly, did you say you found a better one? Yeah, okay, cool, over there. Kate's found a better one. But this is just Amazon basics. They're about £4, £5. I've got a ton of these. Okay, a little bit more in the US. But a simple notepad, okay, and then just start taking every call like this, and that way you'll make sure you go into your offer knowing if it's got a good chance of closing or not. Then you're going to know why it didn't close when you look back. And so I've got this testimony here from, or this post that Jacob made. And this one always just sticks with me because it just reminds me of how I felt when I had 37 calls with no closes. I remember Jacob, you know, and he took 26 sales calls, you see here, to enroll his first student. And then he just enrolled 4 in one day, kind of like my stats as well. And so the key is to just never give up. So sales isn't about pressure. It's not about persuasion. It's a learnable process. They are skills that you can learn, okay? And it's helping people make the right decision. So Dalton, again, it said it's to escape selling. It's teaching, right? And so the better you become at this, the more students you're going to help, the better your business grows. And so everyone says when sales are down, you know, it's because no one buy or it's the leads. And, you know, but what's really happening is we're just trying to close deals at the end of the call instead of closing it in the opening, okay? And that's where it's either won or lost in the first 15 minutes.
Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments and go and pick up your copy today.
The next thing I want to share is how to get prospects to beg to see your offer, get more buy-in, build more trust, and establish your experience before you explain how you can help, okay? And so if we think about, Luke, I saw an image of you on your AI ads. It looked kind of like this yesterday. And so most of us, and the calls that I've seen you guys do, we're just not creating a clear bridge to get to the offer. Okay, and what I mean by that, if you think about a doctor, right, a doctor will go through his discovery and he'll listen to the patient. He doesn't then just give the treatment plan. He explains, here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm seeing. And he gives honest feedback. He gives a diagnosis, right, before he presents the treatment plan. And so that's creating the bridge, okay? And that means you're going to get more buy-in. If you can show that you've got authority and you can say and pinpoint, here's your issue, they're going to listen to you more as you go into the discovery. And so we call this the transition. right? And if you've seen transition scripts, okay, I'm going to walk you through that in a second. I'm going to show you how to make it even better, okay? And so I don't think any of you guys in here, guys, I don't think you would have seen this next step, okay? But our general transition kind of went like this, right? It was 4 phases. It's like you wrap it up. Hey, Mrs. Smith, we've been through a lot. Do you think there's anything else I need to know? Okay. Next bit was reminding them of the gap, using the ammo, using their own words. Well, what I've heard, Jimmy's struggling and he's falling behind in his reading. And because of that, you said it's causing tension at home between you and dad. And, you really want to get him to develop. Then you're telling them what you can do, which is your signature tutoring offer in a nutshell. Well, based on what you've said, I feel like I can help. And Jimmy would be a good fit because what you're saying is Jimmy's struggling with reading. But what I do is I help students boost their reading grades in as little as 12 weeks, become top of the class. Then you go through and you ask permission to reveal the offer. If you're open to it, we could look at what it would look like for Jimmy to build out a plan A to Z on what he needs to do to improve his grades, if you're open to it. So that's a general transition. There was no diagnosis, right? There was no feedback. It was really just going through these 4 phases and ticking them off. And so here's one thing that you can do to take your transition to the next level. And this is something that myself, Jacob at the back, our sales director, we're consistently working on this with our sales team because it helps you close more deals. And we call this the pre-pitch. So there's 4 phases to the pre-pitch. And so you can take snapshots of these templates or you've got the slides as well. And I'm going to show you some examples too. Like there's 3 phases. Phase 1, it is a little bit longer. It's a little bit more advanced. I've broken it down and dumbed it down into 3 phases so you guys can master it as well. Because the last thing I want is for you to get overwhelmed. There's about 8 to 10 parts to the pre-pitch. But if we use these phases, I know you will go into your offers with more buy-in from the students, okay? So first thing is just simply this. Thanks for walking through all of that with me, Mrs. Smith. I really appreciate you being so open. Based on what you've shared, it sounds like you just want Jimmy to catch up with his reading, feel more confident, enjoy learning again, and that makes total sense. So kind of the same as the start of the transition. But this is now where we give feedback. But if you're open to it, I've got some feedback for you. And of course, they're going to be open to feedback. That's what they're looking for. And so the next part is the problem, the why, and the cost. And all you are doing here is saying, here's the problem. Here's why that is a problem. And if we don't fix this, here's what's going to happen. This is where we remind them of the cost of inaction. And that's why you're trying to dig that up earlier in the call. Okay. And so here's an example of what that might look like. What's going on with Jimmy, it concerns me a little. If you raise a concern, they're going to lean in. Because if you're concerned about their child or their teen, they're going to be concerned too. So what concerns me, what you've said, it's been going on for nearly a year. Remind them of the time this has been happening. And while that's happening, there's other students in similar situations that are starting to catch up, not because they're smarter, but because they're getting the right support. And what I'm doing here also, I'm planting the seed that there's other students who were like Jimmy, but are now getting better. And how are they doing it? They're getting better support. Because what are you going to pitch at the end of the call? More support, tutoring. Okay, so if other students are getting better with tutoring, would it make sense for them to get more support and tutoring as well? Absolutely. And the longer Jimmy, we're going to remind them here of the problem and the cost. Yep. So the longer Jimmy continues to fall behind in his reading, the more that's going to affect other subjects too. Writing, comprehension, even maths, when word problems come in. Then we anchor cost. And this means he's going to miss out on building those core learning skills, and that's going to impact his confidence long term. But as you're probably aware, AI is taking over the world. In the next 10 years, there aren't going to be many human-occupied jobs left. So unless we do something here, it's going to be very difficult down the line for Jimmy to build the life that he wants. And that's what's important right now, isn't it? And so that's where you could use that, the AI and the jobs, because they're gonna realize that as well, right? I didn't add that in there, but you can absolutely add that. Okay, now they're going to be more lent in. They're going to want to know how you can help and fix this. Wouldn't we agree? Yeah? And so this is just passing off control, which is just getting them to say, yes, I'd love to learn the next steps. Okay, so what I can do, I can walk you through how my classes work, the exact process I use to help students like Jimmy go from X to Y in as little as 12 weeks. Would this be helpful for you? And I would love to see it. And so that's the 3 steps you can now improve your transition with. So For those of you guys who have been taking calls a while and you're not using this, this is something you can absolutely just walk away with and start testing, okay? And improve how you transition your calls, create a better bridge, become more of a doctor, you know, instead of just diving straight into the offer with little buy-in. Remember, buy-in leads to buying. And so there's a huge opportunity to have the parents leaning in, right? And having them saying yes before you even present the offer, just by transitioning like a professional. And every week, you guys go without a solid pre-pitch, or even at the very least, a transition. Okay, you're just burning opportunities like I was. Okay, burning money. Okay, parents are tuning out, buy-in disappears, and your pitch, so your offer when you present how you're going to help and the investment to move forwards, just falls flat. Okay, and so most people aren't going to learn this. You'll keep winging it. You don't build trust, and then you're just going to assume that it was either bad timing, or they just didn't have the money, they wanted to think about it, or the standard objections that we get. Okay, so that's what I got to say about the pre-pitch. Let's move on, step 3. And so what I want to do now, the final thing I want to share is how you can use AI to boost your sales and make your review process easier. I'm going to show you how we're using it as a sales team. And then I've got some goodies for you guys as well. Okay. So the reason why I'm sharing this as well, so you know exactly after you look at your calls, where you missed the opportunities, which doors you didn't close, and it's going to speed up your review process as well. Okay. And you just get instant feedback. And so businesses, I've got these studies, Harvard Business Review, businesses that are adopting AI in sales grow revenue 2 to 2.3 times faster. 81% of high-performing sales teams use AI to review or improve call performance from Salesforce. So if these big organizations are using it, would it make sense for us in here to start using it as well? Yeah. Okay, so here's how we're using it as a team. Now, if you think about also a professional athlete, generally what they would probably do, right, after they've played a game at the weekend or whenever it is, the next day they're probably going to sit there with the coach and they're going to break down video analysis, what happened, which players covered what ground, if they let a goal in or a basket, were they defending correctly? So they're getting feedback on what actually happened in the game, okay? And so if you're running sales calls without reviewing those calls, you're not getting feedback on where you missed the call, why it didn't close. And so how are you ever going to improve? Okay. And like I said, it would be like the athlete or the team and the coach that never gets the team to watch their game tape back. Okay. And so we've got a way you can review your sales game and use AI and train the AI to help you do that for you. Okay. And so that means you're going to scale faster, have the tools, but down the line. And so this is where we help our sales team. Right, because we've got about 5 to 6 guys on the sales team. We can't review all of their calls, but this way it allows us to see which calls are the best ones to review instead of just going through a big list of calls. All right. And so here's an example of how we do it. It's going to be a bit small, the first one, then I'm going to zoom it in on the next screen. So we get a ton of info here from what happened inside of the sales call. Now, here's how we use it. We look at missed opportunities. So this is instant feedback from AI. So Jacob, when he's reviewing calls with the sales team, he can say to Dan, this prospect was skeptical when they came into the call. And so that means you needed to close the trust door. But it says you didn't share any results. You didn't share any reviews. You didn't share any testimonials. So you didn't build enough trust. Okay. And that means they're probably the buying pocket also wasn't closed, because if they can't see other people doing it, they don't believe that they can do it too. So we're getting a ton of feedback here. Here's the questions that you should have asked. What even made you book the call specifically? So we know that Dan on this call probably didn't even dive deep enough into the timing element and why they wanted to make this a priority right now. Okay, so there's a ton of feedback for here. And then we know our script feedback, he only followed it 6 out of 10. So just 60% of the script. And if he only follows 60% of the script, is the call going to close? No. Right? And so that means we can train Dan to get better. And so here's some steps you guys can take to review your calls. And again, I'm going to drop the slides, but we've created a teacher project sales coach, just like Ollie had created the ad factory. That's what it's called, right, Ollie? Yeah, the ad factory. And so all you're going to do with this, we've got a tutorial to help you set it up, which is going to be at the bottom, step 4. You'll just be able to click the link where it says the Loom. And you take your Zoom call, you take the transcript, you just plug it into the sales coach, and we can ask it questions like, analyze this call and show me what I could have done better. Give me, I'm not going to have to cross over here. Let's see. Give me specific improvement recommendations. What alternative approaches could have worked better? You can also give it your winning calls as well, right? Not even just your script. You can give it your winning calls and start to train it. If you've closed an amazing call, we can give the transcript from that call. This is what the ideal call looks like. And so this is going to allow you to kind of see straight away when you go to your training, where to train on in the discovery, what doors are you missing? So you can then do your mirror role play on the right things. So there's no guesswork, okay? So you guys will get that, and it's in the chat, and you'll be able to plug straight into that. Will that be cool for you guys? Yeah? Cool. And so Jay has done a little bit of training with it as well, and he's kind of given it the main script that we have for you guys. So it does have some knowledge, of course, in there already of where we're wanting to see the calls, but what we're wanting to see inside of the calls, okay? And then from there, once you guys are using things like this, improving your discovery, getting more buy-in before you, of course, go into your offer, and then being able to review where you're going wrong, you can train. And now it's just about mastering the sales process, all right? So you can actually scale the business, okay? And so you need, of course, down the line, a way to sell without taking more calls, or you need more calendar space, okay? So you need to sell one-to-many, or you need to be able to sell, or you need to be able to hire a team so you can open up more space, right? Like some of you guys in the Impact Program are already doing. And so there's 3 phases really to scaling the sales. So many of you guys might be at this one. The most important part is you've got to validate the process first yourself. If you can't sell one-to-one, you can't teach anybody else to sell one-to-one for you, right? Because you're not going to be able to lead them. You're not going to be able to guide them. Okay, and if you can't sell one-to-one, it's going to be very difficult to sell one-to-many, right? So phase 1 is all about mastery, validation of the process yourself, okay? Now, we all start there. Remember, it is a skill, so it's learnable. Then phase 2 is about automation. Phase 2 and 3 is really business dependent. Automation might mean taking, sales or making sales without a call. Could be a low ticket subscription offer. It might be you're starting to do one-to-many, so you're starting to automate the sales process. Delegation might be hiring a team and getting people to sell for you, okay? So there's really 3 phases for you to kind of grow this. Just like many of the Impact clients are already doing, Dalton's been giving amazing feedback, and Alan actually recently to one of our clients, Rosanna, who's unfortunately not here today, but she's really started to crack on and try and improve her webinar sales process. But she's gone from selling one-to-one to now being able to sell on the webinar. So she's starting to build that skill set, moving into phase 2, okay? Now, here's the thing. Obviously, you don't just need more calls, right? You need a system, you need a roadmap, a repeatable process that you can then scale. And most importantly, you need someone who's already built it, helping you install it, okay? That's how you're going to go from closing a few deals here and there, like some of you might be doing, to building a business that enrolls students at scale, whether that's with you on the call or without you. And so a common question I get, coaches get, is can we show you how to scale your sales so you're not stuck on Zoom forever like Rosanna's been doing? Okay, and so what I've done to celebrate this Denver event, I've put together our sales mastery and scale implementation package for you guys, okay? And it might be something that interests you, it might not be. But who would like to see what it is? Yeah. Cool. And so you know what it is. It's a 12-month implementation and support program that gives you everything you need to master sales, automate your enrollments, and build a team if that's your goal. So you can scale your tutoring business, impact more students without working more hours. And what we've done to make sure you actually implement everything that we've covered here in Denver, we're going to make sure you guys get access to our full Teacher Project sales success support stack. And that's designed to help you master enrollment and scale without getting stuck. So not only having the AI to give you feedback, but actually getting real-time feedback from us. And so here's how we actually support you through this. We have our Teacher Project Inner Circle, private network of our most committed tutors. So you saw the screenshot there with Rosanna getting instant feedback from Dalton, from Alan on how to improve their webinar skills. Secondly, we have 3 extra weekly coaching calls with me, Dalton, Alan, every single week. We have one-on-one weekly deep dive sessions with our sales leaders as well. Okay, so you can book one-on-one calls. So with Rob, for example, and other people on the team, not just in sales, in other areas of the business as well. Okay, you've of course got one-on-one monthly action plan calls with your coach. And then we also host quarterly mastermind workshops as well, where our top clients share what's working in their businesses and they break it down step by step so you can learn from them. So whether you need help prepping for a key sales call or breaking through just a sticking point, whether it's with your ads inside of your funnel, you'll never be stuck guessing because we've got your back, okay? We're there with you every step of the way. And so what the program is going to do over the next 12 months, it's going to teach you how to sell with confidence using proven scripts, frameworks that we're going to be able to give you, how to automate the enrollments if that's your goal and you get to that phase 2. So you've got people coming to the calls saying yes. How you're going to track your sales metrics, fix drop-offs fast with business deep dives that we can support you with. How to hire, train, and coach a sales team when you get to that point for consistent growth, if you want to go down that route, and how to remove yourself from sales calls like some clients are already doing so you can focus on scaling your business and doing what you're good at, teaching, getting your students amazing results. Okay, and so what that means, over the next 12 months, if you implement everything from this program, you'll be able to build and enroll more students consistently. Like Tash, it would have been awesome to see her here collect these in person. And Tash was at the beginning of her journey this time last summer. Okay, and she recently hit the 6-figure Tutor Club Award like a couple of guys that came up. Okay, you know how to start automating parts of the sales process that drain your time, like some of our clients like Sarah and James in our inner circle are doing. Here's our man Nige. You'll start to see how to build team and structure, okay, around you allows your business to grow. Nigel's got his business running without him. He's got teachers teaching lessons for him. And here's our boy Luke as well, who come up and grabbed an award. This was Luke when he hit his 50th student early, I think it was probably about September-ish last year, right, Luke? So not long after the June event in London, okay? And he used that as a catapult to grow. Because I don't think you had too many when you came to the event in London, right? And from there, it was like a launch pad. And so most importantly, though, make sure you've got the team, tools, trust in yourself to scale your income and impact in a way that actually feels sustainable. And so if this sounds good, here's the next step I want you guys to take. Go and speak with your coach after the session. They'll give you the link to sign up. And following the event, they'll get you scheduled in for a one-on-one call with them so you can build a clear 12-month roadmap together. And so whether you're just starting out as well, because some of you guys are just here right at the beginning of your journey, whether you're starting out getting your first few students on Zoom, whether you've got a few groups up and running at the moment and you're looking to enroll more consistently, or even if you've built a 6-figure tutoring business and you want to step out of sales.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Now, if you would like more help building out your entire sales process to scale your own online tutoring business, chances are we can help you. Now, if you click the link down below this video, you'll be able to fill out an application form and then proceed to book in a call with my team. And we'll walk you through our entire Students on Demand system that I've used to help thousands of teachers scale their income, their impact online with online group tutoring. We'll walk you through our entire sales process because it's not just what happens on the call with parents and students, it's what they see before the call that helps you enhance your sales and increase enrollments. So we can go through that with you on the call. So the link will be down below. Fill out the application, get booked in. We'll speak to you soon.